What's going on, everybody? And today I'm just going to talk a little bit about Batista and how he lost a lot of weight. And the fact is, a lot of people don't talk about this stuff openly sometimes, the reasons or why they actually lost weight. And in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the actual reasons of why I think he lost all this weight. And the necessary things that people have to take to maintain that they have all this weight from a realistic perspective. And as people get older, first of all, holding just a lot of weight above their natural genetic potential is something that is not advisable and is not healthy from a longevity and life expectancy perspective. So being 300 pounds is not the best optimal strategy. Being even 250 pounds, being 50 pounds, 60 pounds in muscle mass above their maximum genetic potential is not something that's in their best interest or in the best interest of their longevity and health, right? And actually being the lightest weight that you can and under periods of caloric restriction and intermittent fasting is something that will contribute the most to increasing lifespan and increasing life expectancy. And that includes being almost in a catabolic state because you're doing like 30% less than your caloric maintenance calories most of the days, and maybe like gaining what you lost in one day of the week or something through a cheat meal. Then you're doing a lot of intermittent fasting. You're not eating so much carbohydrates. You're eating specific amounts of food. And all the longevity and health researchers talk about this, and they reiterate these things over and over. Now, first of all, what does someone have to do to basically maintain all the muscle mass above their genetic potential in the perspective of bodybuilding? A wrestler like Batista, who's like almost 300 pounds or 280 pounds of muscle. And basically that would include maintaining an anabolic load through testosterone that would make them maintain all that muscle mass. So their testosterone level can be anywhere from like 2,000-3,000 up to like 10,000-15,000 nanogram per deciliter in their blood. And this is, of course, through taking testosterone in an exogenous way, right? So if you take a gram or 2 grams of testosterone a week, you can maintain all that muscle mass. The problem is, as people age and they realize the negative effect that this has on their health from the perspective of things like blood pressure, cardiovascular health, kidney and liver function, pancreatic function, every function in the body. As they age, people really start to feel it. Look, maybe when somebody's young, they don't feel it as much, right? But as people get older, they feel the negative toll that all this weight and the anabolic load they have to take to maintain all that weight does to their body. And as they gear more towards health and longevity and extending life expectancy and trying to basically live longer, they find that they have to reduce these dosages of testosterone or steroids that they're taking, basically their anabolic androgenic load that they're taking in their body to maintain all the muscle mass. So when they reduce that anabolic load that they have to take to maintain 280, 300 pounds, 250, 240 pounds of muscle mass, which is tens of pounds of muscle above their genetic potential, and also glycogen and water and things like that, the muscle mass goes down, right? Of course, a lot of people don't talk about this openly, and they say, okay, well, I just lost the weight because I feel better. It's way bigger than that. Of course, it's health concerns, and it's all the work that they have to do to maintain all that muscle mass on their body. And a big portion of that work, instead of just lifting the weights, it's the anabolics that they have to take, whether they're taking a very high dose of test to maintain all that muscle mass, or test and other anabolics to maintain all that muscle mass, which definitely results in things like increased blood pressure, some type of disruption to the kidney and liver enzymes, and all sorts of other things that are almost like unescapable from maintaining such a high anabolic load to maintain all that muscle mass. So usually this is the real reason why people do that. Of course, people don't say that, and they would say, oh, I lost the weight, and I'm not accusing anybody, or of course I take everybody for what they say, but people would say, I lost weight because I feel better that way. Of course they feel better because their blood pressure is going to be better, their health overall, all their metrics are going to be better. They're going to live longer, if they reduce their weight. So of course they feel better, but usually it's things that happen. And for other people, like somebody like Cali Muscle or whatever, it's usually a heart attack that gets them to understand, okay, this is real. Like these having all that maintaining all that muscle mass through taking all these anabolics can kill me, right? It can literally kill me, and people don't think about that unless like a very major health concern happens, or if they get to a point where just like they can't just maintain that muscle mass anymore, and they just have to let it go and lose that weight. So this is usually the real reason behind things like that. But of course, everybody is entitled to what they say, and everybody's entitled to what they do, and people should do what's in their best interest. And of course, if the more people are honest with these things, the more the public can understand what really goes on and how people really get these bodies, and sometimes the health sacrifice that people have to put their bodies and health through to accumulate and maintain all that muscle mass. A lot of people that are not into bodybuilding and pharmacology of bodybuilding may not understand why and how people can get bodies like that and maintain bodies like that for extended periods of time. So this is real. This is something that people don't talk about that much, but we discuss these things on this channel. And he basically went back to a realistic version of his body. Like this is what his body realistically would look like. So when people lose all that weight, it's usually two things that they did: completely reduce their anabolic load and just go to the basic minimal TRT dose to maintain their bodily function. And a TRT dose can be something as low as 60, 75, 100 milligrams of testosterone a week. Or they just get off completely and figure out a way to stabilize their hormones. Of course, if they have done steroids for a short period of time, this may be easy and achievable through a solid PCT protocol, and sometimes dosages of HCG and whatnot. Like PCT protocols have their own thing, and hormone restoration is also there are a lot of methods to do that. Or they just go back to a very basic minimal dose of TRT, right? And which is usually what people do, is go back to this basic minimal dose of TRT that basically is not going to be able to maintain all that muscle mass, because you can't maintain all that muscle mass on 75 milligrams of testosterone a week or 100 milligrams of testosterone a week. So the muscle mass over time ends up going away. Plus a lot of the other stuff, like the enormous amounts of calories and protein that they have to consume to maintain all that muscle mass, right? Which puts a lot of stress on the kidneys and on the different systems in the body, like the pancreatic system, and all the work that has to be done by the pancreatic system to stabilize the glucose, and all the work that the different systems of the body have to do to process all these enormous amounts of calories that are needed to sustain such a humongous amount of mass, right? That's a completely different dimension. That amount of food to be consumed puts a huge amount of stress on the body. So you have the androgenic anabolic compounds, which have to be at a very high level to maintain that muscle mass, and this has a lot of side effects and health concerns. Then you have the huge amount of calories that have to be consumed to maintain that muscle mass, and that takes a huge toll on the body. Then you have the amount of strength training and resistance training that has to be done also to maintain that muscle mass, which also takes a lot of time and takes a toll on the body and the joints as people get older. So all these dimensions contribute to why a lot of people, as they age, specifically lose all this weight, or when you look at bodybuilders as they get old, and now they're like just small, regular people after a whole bodybuilding career in bodybuilding, right? You look at anybody, and they're just back to like 170 pounds, 180 pounds after being like 280-pound bodybuilders. This is the reason why, right? All these reasons that I've mentioned before. So, with that being said, perfecthumanx.com is a website that has so much pharmacological information like the ones we discussed in this video, and so much more. Check it out. You'll definitely get tons of benefits from this website, and understand how to hack your body and your brain, most importantly, and do it in the most healthy way that doesn't compromise your health and longevity and life expectancy. With that being said, I'll see you in the next video, and stay perfect.